The day is July 27th, 2008, and what was once a staple on the NASCAR Cup Series schedule will forever now be overshadowed by this disaster of a race. When it was all said and done, nobody will ever forget this race. It was an embarrassment to the sport of stock car racing, and it will be one of the worst NASCAR races of all time. During 1994, NASCAR was set to make a historic run to run the inaugural race at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. In its inaugural running, the Brickyard 400 became NASCAR's most attended event, drawing an estimated crowd of more than 250,000 spectators and fans. The race was also one of its highest purses and paid from 1994 to 2020. This race saw young and rising star Jeff Gordon take the checkered flag and will cement him as one of NASCAR's newest stars. The term Brickyard is a reference to the nickname historically used for the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. When the race course opened in August of 1909, the track surface was crushed stone and tar. That poor surface was the cause of numerous and sometimes fatal accidents, so the track was subsequently repaved with 3.2 million bricks. Over time, the bricks were paved over with asphalt, and now only 1 yard strip of bricks at the start-finish line remains. Heading into 2008, in its previous year, the hometown hero of Tony Stewart picked up his second victory in this marquee event. He battled one of his best friends and future teammates, Kevin Harvick, to the finish, and it was a finish that everybody will remember.
For you as you're watching Tony Stewart now try to get to the inside. Harvick trying to squeeze him down, and Stewart can't get it done.
I tell you what, this is a key part. I've lost 2 of these races, one with 13 to go, one with 10 to go.
Use poise and composure and the rear bumper of a Chevy Monte Carlo to bring a victory back to Richard Childress. He opens the door. Here comes Stewart.
Inside. This is the best shot Tony's had right here. And he does. He gets to Kevin Harvick clear.
Okay, he does a swap over underneath. He's got the clean air.
Oh, they bang.
I got to tell you, I don't think I'd have done that to Tony Stewart now. When you body slap this guy, you make him mad. He's like a rattlesnake, man. He's not going to like that at all.
Yeah, you're tugging on Superman's cape when you bump into Tony Stewart, but Kevin Harvick doesn't take much either. These guys are friends off the track, or at least, but right now, they are mortal enemies on this racetrack. 10 laps to go in the Allstate 400.
Look at Tony Stewart's hands on that steering wheel.
And Harvick knows if he gets to his bumper, he can get him loose again, but right now, it could be color me gone right now.
The 2008 season had already been one of the most interesting seasons for NASCAR that it has had in quite some time. Some of the biggest stories up until this point was the new rivalry between young Kyle Busch and fan favorite Dale Earnhardt Jr. Busch was winning, it seemed like, every week, while Jr. was close behind trying to keep pace. But outside of that battle, everyone was still living in the Jimmie Johnson world. JJ had picked up the 2 previous Cup Series championships and was looking to go 3 in a row during the 2008 season. Heading into the weekend, the biggest concern was tires. Everyone knew the new COT, Car of Tomorrow, and the tires were being eaten alive with only a few laps into a run. It was by far the biggest worry heading into Sunday, due to the abrasive course at Indianapolis and the different characteristics of this 5th generation car that was being used for the first time in Indianapolis, led NASCAR to implement caution periods after 10 laps for tire wear, a procedure NASCAR debuted in 1969 for the Talladega 500. It was race time, and as Jimmie Johnson led the pack of 43 cars down into the start of the race, nobody knew what was going to be in store for everyone and how it would impact NASCAR forever.
Side by side coming down as the green flag waves here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway.
Competition cautions were called between 10 and 12 laps. Because of an accident involving Michael Waltrip on lap 4, the first competition yellow would not wave until lap 14 for a crash when Kurt Busch lost the car off of turn number 1, hitting Kevin Harvick in the process.
Yeah, Jamie, he did hit that wall very hard. He was coming off the corner. Actually, it looks like Kurt Busch lost the car and then hit the right front of Kevin's car, maybe blowing that tire out, but they both hit the wall pretty hard.
Yeah, they did. So this wasn't a tire issue right there, other than maybe the right rear just being worn on Kurt Busch's car, and that creating the problem.
Right along with Kevin Harvick's onboard camera, so you watch the 2-car get out of shape.
Outside, we got
that car, Kurt Busch, did turn sideways real quick on him, like this is an unexpected thing.
Yeah, and talking to these drivers about how long did it take you to figure out you had a problem, they said it just happens all of a sudden. You're going along fine, and then the next thing you know, you're losing grip with either the rear end or the front end, whichever tire is going. And that looks like that could have been the case there. And unfortunately for Kevin Harvick, just in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Numerous drivers suffered tire failures during the race. Dale Earnhardt Jr. was one of the first drivers to suffer on lap 26, blowing a right rear tire while leading the race. And just 3 laps later, Juan Pablo Montoya, the man who was trying to pull off Indianapolis 500 victories and the Brickyard 400, would blow a tire coming off turn number 2. ESPN reported a major tire cording off of Jeff Gordon on lap 47. As you can tell already, this race was starting to unravel to be a disaster.
Tear his car up. It's a good move on their part.
You can see even the best cars are having serious problems here. The cars that are running the best and out front, they're having serious problems. That's not a good situation right there, I'll assure you folks. That tire right there, what, Andy, a lap from going apart?
That's 1 lap away from actually coming apart and blowing out, just like we saw Matt Kenseth.
Okay, driver and crew chief, what do you do if you're NASCAR? You let these guys run 12 laps a moment ago. Some of them only made 10, some made 11. What do you do now?
Well, NASCAR is trying to extend these competition yellows, thinking that this tire wear is going to get better. We all thought it would, and they need to extend it if we're going to finish this race with the tires we have. So, we're just not seeing it get any better.
One of the biggest accidents on this day was on lap 47 when Carl Edwards reported on the radio that he had a right front tire problem. And just seconds later, chaos ensued.
Casey King going by. Whoa. And there it was. Oh, look at the pieces coming apart. Part of the window coming out.
You're going close to 200 miles an hour at the end of these straightaways, and when that tire does go flat and the pieces start flying, I mean, it's a lot of force. You can see it just takes the entire right side quarter panel off of it.
These guys are normally under just a tremendous amount of stress racing here. The speeds that you gather. Right now, these guys are just holding on and hoping that something like this doesn't happen to them, and in particular, doesn't happen to the right front.
As the race goes on, NASCAR would have to then allow teams to get more tires to their pit box to allow teams to have extra sets of tires for pit stops. NASCAR also had to just keep throwing cautions every 10 to 15 laps to make sure tires did not blow out. So if you thought stages were bad, this was way worse. ESPN then reported Kyle Busch had some tire problems on lap 65. After that, tires showed a slight improvement. Even though the tires still showed major cording, throughout the race, drivers expressed their disappointment at the events that had occurred prior and during the event. As the race was coming down to the finish, it was a battle between Jimmie Johnson and Carl Edwards. Ultimately, Johnson would pick up the win, and Carl Edwards would come once again oh so close to winning a crown jewel race. The term crown jewel would be lost for this event with the years following. The fan attendance was almost down to 0 and non-existent just a decade later. This disaster race have left a bitter taste in everyone's mouth. Hopefully when we return to the oval, it won't be a tire disaster that it once was.